Yeah, now you had mentioned that you had C-sections prior in the past, and I know one thing that you said that you struggled with also at one point was kind of weight, and so I know probably now working with being as fit as you are now, it's probably eye-opening to be like how much compare and contrast where you were before. So
Yeah.
maybe I would like to kind of get into what after the C-sections where your mind was at for, and I think it'd be beneficial for other people to like learn from that, or at least if they've gone through the same thing to be like, oh wow.
Well, wasn't trying to get pregnant when we did, and actually was in like almost probably by weight numbers alone, the best shape of my life. At 30, when I got pregnant, was 135 pounds, was riding my bike a lot, was going to the gym a couple days a week, and just felt like a healthy kind of routine was in place. And then got pregnant and did not have women talk about like the glow that they get when they're pregnant. I did not get the glow. I just barfed every day and gained a lot of weight. My ankles were enormous. I couldn't even find flip-flops that fit my feet. It was crazy. um, was borderline for gestational diabetes with my first pregnancy. And then even that delivery, like I think this is the other sort of misconception, but like I want a natural delivery and it's just going to be like no meds and me and so beautiful. And it ended up being an emergency C-section. Harper's heart rate kept dropping. And they um, threw in some drugs, and I was in the operating room and she was born like 3 minutes later. It was a very crazy experience. Um, when she was 8 months old, I actually got pregnant again and then had Jamie. Jamie was 10 pounds 3 weeks early. And by the time I gave birth to him, I was just under 220 pounds. So, like, just this swing over a 2.5 year period, I think, and two big babies. Harper was 9 pounds. Like, what a and my thyroid is now broken. But like what a taxing situation it was for my body. And sure, it was lovely. And there were a lot of really amazing memories and experiences, but it was not like a glow for my body. It was a really taxing experience for my body. And I think even though I know the minute it was like carrying Jamie through the airplane aisle, I mean, I definitely attribute this to gaining a lot of weight, carrying children, 4 years plus 5 years of like having them always on my left hip as I packed them around. Just did not put me in and Jamie was in a C-section as well. So yeah, so I gained a lot of weight. I had two C-sections. My kids are a year and a half apart in age, and just I really feel like I sort of went through the gauntlet with the two back-to-back pregnancies and the back-to-back C-sections. And then of course, as a result of that, like I don't know. I just think women talk about vaginal delivery and sort of this very romantic experience. And emergency C-sections are kind of terrifying. There's a lot of people involved. You go from like in your room to in an to in the operating room. That's like an orchestra happening around you really fast. And then no one tells you like how hard it's going to be to stand the first time after you have a C-section and that first walk to the bathroom. And um, yeah, I didn't feel that was sort of what a C-section is, watching it, seeing it, knowing what the recovery looks like. That wasn't part of the pregnancy and delivery preparation that I had really gone through. So there were just a lot of surprises. And then I, of course, now have like you can, I think, well, I don't know, it's probably mostly self-conscious and who knows if it's totally true or not, but I feel like I have that post C-section body where I have like the weird pooch and kind of overhangs where the scar is. So yeah, and I guess then the only other thing that I think about when I think about my C-sections is after that, yes, I wanted to lose weight. I started swimming. I'm back down to like anywhere between 150 and 170, depending on how much eating I'm doing. Um, but I don't feel like I care as much about my body. Like even with you, I'm like, it's kind of fun to be like, oh, my stomach can actually get flatter. I can look like I'm not pregnant for the third time. Because in some ways I had just been like, this is almost like accept it, like stop caring about it. Don't fixate on it. Don't fixate on your stomach. Don't fixate on your scar because it just is, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So it's been nice to see.
Did you go through a progression mentally with that, or did you kind of always have that mindset?
Well, I think when you give birth at 220 to a 10-pound baby and they're like, you just like, what can you do at that point? And how much exercise can you fit into your life? And I took the smallest amount of maternity leave possible and jumped right back into work. Work's always just been really important to me. And so even then it became you can make time for family, you can make time for work, you can make time for marriage, but can you make time for self and self-care and working out? And probably for me it didn't hit the priority list, and therefore I think it had to be something I just like stopped caring about as much. But I would like, I think there's actually, that's like the other side of the equilibrium, which is like you care too much, you don't really care enough, and then
Hmm.
the point is feeling really comfortable. Like I don't ever need to be 135 pounds again, but I do like that I don't, like I said, I like that I don't feel like I look pregnant
Hmm.
like I did 6 months ago, even though I'm not. I really had accepted that I'd have like this little pooch forever.
Would you have exercised more so knowing what you know now with before your pregnancies?
Yeah, well, I wish I had sort of put the systems and habits in place before I became a mother. So I knew to make time to snack. I knew to make time to work out, and sort of had those coaches, or experts in my life and a bit of routine in place. But certainly, I think like if I had a relationship with you before I had gotten pregnant, how much different my own experience with my body in between pregnancies and going through the second pregnancy, and then in like that recovery phase, because my abs were cut in half, and it takes some time to get back to to a healthy strong core, to be able to carry your kids, to know how to pick them up. I mean, that's the other thing. I don't think I like you have a if you start packing around a 2-year-old, it's a lot of weight you're carrying, and how do you pick them up off the ground, and how do you pick them up out of a crib when they're like forward from you? There's just a lot of things that I wish I had been more aware of or had healthy systems in place for before I had become a parent, because then once parenthood hit, it's just like kind of survival of the fittest.